Welcome to the deep dive. You're likely here because you want to get to grips with complex topics, maybe understand things a bit quicker.
Yeah, without wading through tons of books.
Exactly. And today we're diving into, well, a really fascinating one, the Kama Sutra. And I think we need to get past the usual ideas about it straight away.
Definitely. Most people just think, intricate sex positions. Right.
Right. But it's much older, maybe 2,000 years old, and it's part of a larger body of work, the Kama Sutra. It's actually more about living well, desire, relationships.
The whole package, really, not just the physical stuff.
So our mission today is to pull out the insights that might still, mean something for us now. How we think about intimacy, connection.
It will definitely bump into some of the, let's say, historically specific parts, too, which is interesting in itself, gives you a real feel for the time.
Consider this your guided tour.
Okay, so where do we start? We should probably outline the journey. First, we'll look at the core principles behind the whole thing.
Right.
Then those classifications of men and women it talks about.
Right, the physical types.
Yeah. Then, behavior in the bedroom and out. Kissing techniques get a whole section, believe it or not.
Wow, okay.
Foreplay, oral sex, as the text describes it, loads of positions. And then we'll finish up with some of the historical extras like charms, aphrodisiacs, and even early sex toys.
Sounds comprehensive. Let's jump into those general principles then. Vatsyayana, the author, lays out four main aims in life.
That's right. Dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. And it's interesting to see how we can sort of translate these for today.
Okay, take Dharma. What was the ancient idea?
Anciently, it was pretty much obedience to religious law, holy texts. But today, we can maybe think of it more broadly, like virtuous living, having a moral compass, ethics.
Makes sense. Living a good life, essentially.
Exactly. Whether that's religious or secular.
And Artha, that was about wealth.
Yeah, acquiring wealth, possessions, land, cattle, that sort of thing back then. Today, maybe it's more about general prosperity, feeling secure, maybe even a sense of abundance beyond just stuff.
Financial security, career success, perhaps.
Could be part of it, sure. And then kama, obviously central here.
The enjoyment of the senses, desire.
Yes, enjoyment through all five senses, driven by desire. But the interesting bit in the Kama Sutra is this idea that desire isn't just there. It's something you can cultivate, nurture almost.
That's a really key point, especially considering, arranged marriages were common then. You'd have to cultivate desire sometimes.
Precisely. It wasn't necessarily about that initial spark we often focus on today.
Yeah, our modern view can sometimes feel a bit instant, maybe shallower, focused on immediate attraction.
It's a different emphasis, for sure. This idea of building desire over time is quite profound.
And the last one, moksha, liberation.
Traditionally, liberation from the cycle of rebirth, transmigration. But in a modern, maybe more psychological sense, it could be about inner freedom, self-awareness, understanding yourself, finding peace, freedom from ignorance, maybe.
So four big life goals. Did Vatsyayana rank them? Like, is one more important?
Well, he suggested a kind of general order. Dharma first, then artha, then kama. So virtue over wealth, wealth over pleasure, broadly speaking.
But not set in stone.
No, he acknowledged exceptions. Like a king might need to prioritize artha, the kingdom's prosperity,
Yeah.
or certain women, free women, might prioritize kama. It depended on your role and situation.
Okay, so what's the big takeaway here? It feels like it's pointing towards agency, taking control of your own happiness.
I think so, yeah. It's about recognizing you play a part in creating a satisfying life, and that absolutely includes your sexual life.
And knowing yourself is key. Self-awareness, self-love almost.
Definitely. Understanding your own needs and desires seems foundational in the text, for yourself and for relating to others.
All right, chapter 2 then. This is where we get those classifications. Men and women categorized by physical attributes.
Yes, it gets very specific. Men are divided into shasha, the hair, vrisha, the bull, and ashwas, the horse. And it's primarily based on erect penis length. Roughly 3 inches for the hair, 4 for the bull, 6 for the horse. But it wasn't just size. It linked to build and temperament, too. Hairmen, supposedly smaller, humble, moderate desires. Bullmen, more robust, maybe aggressive. Horsemen, larger, muscular, passionate, maybe a bit lazy even.
Wow. And for women?
Similar idea. Mrigi the deer, Vadavas the mare, and Hastines the elephant, based on vaginal depth, about 6, 9, and 12 fingers, respectively.
Fingers, okay.
Yeah, that was the measure used. And again, linked to traits. Deer women seen as delicate, maybe jealous. Mare women, graceful, calm, but maybe less satisfied by intercourse alone. Elephant women, larger featured, maybe prone to indulgence. harder to satisfy.
So the idea was to match them up.
Pretty much. The
Yeah.
text suggests the best sexual compatibility is between equal pairs, hare and deer, bull and mare, horse and elephant. Because anatomically, they fit best according to these descriptions.
Unequal pairings would be
Yeah.
challenging.
That's the implication, yeah. Due to the size differences. Of course, it also admits people might have traits from different categories. It's a very structured way of looking at compatibility.
Definitely different. Beyond the physical, though, it talks about different kinds of love, right?
It does. 4 main types. First, love that just comes from habit or practice, like you enjoy sex itself, or hunting or drinking. Doing it regularly fosters a kind of love for it.
Okay, habit-based love. What else?
Second, love from imagination. This emphasizes things other than penetration, embracing, kissing, stroking. Even upper ashtaka, oral sex, is mentioned here.
Interesting. So non-penetrative intimacy creating love.
Exactly. Third is mutual love, where it's proven true, where partners really see each other as their own. Deep connection.
That sounds more like what we think of as love today.
Perhaps. And finally, the fourth, considered the highest form, is love arising from direct experience and perception of the other person, really knowing them.
What stands out to you about these?
Well, the idea that love isn't static, that it can be built through different means, habit, imagination, shared experience. It broadens the definition, doesn't it?
It does, and the text calls love an art form, which leads into the 64 arts.
Absolutely. These were skills believed to help a man win a woman's heart. It wasn't just about looks or compatibility. Being cultured mattered.
Like what kind of skills?
Oh, a huge range. Singing, playing instruments, dancing, writing, drawing, making perfumes, cooking, solving riddles, knowing languages.
Wow, quite the Renaissance man ideal.
Sort of, yeah. It really shows what was valued in that society, intellectual and artistic connection alongside the physical.
So if a man had all these arts, was he guaranteed success? Did it say why a woman might still say no?
Oh yes, it lists reasons for rejection too. It gives a glimpse into the social dynamics. Things like maybe she already loved her husband or wanted legitimate children.
Practical reasons?
And social ones. Difference in rank, fear he wasn't serious or couldn't keep secrets, maybe he was too close to his friends, even fear of being tested for chastity by her husband. Very specific to the time.
It's a different world. But things like trust, security, clear intentions, those still feel relevant, don't they?
Completely. And it links back to modern ideas, the need for communication. Talking about what you like or don't like, feeling emotionally safe. That seems universal for love to really develop.
Okay, chapter 3, behavior, inside and outside the bedroom. The book links these.
Very clearly. It says how you treat each other day to day massively impacts intimacy. You know, the type someone might be gorgeous and great in bed, but if they're awful to be around otherwise.
Yeah, that connection won't last. You need that foundation of respect.
Exactly. That overall compatibility is key.
So what qualities did the Kama Sutra say a man needed to win a woman over?
It suggests being ingenious, wise, having a good friend to help, understanding her intentions, and knowing the right time and place to approach. Sounds quite strategic, actually.
Less about brute force, more about perception.
Right. And then it lists women to avoid. And this is where you really see the historical context.
Like what?
Okay, so a leper, a lunatic, health and stigma, right? Someone cast out of society, someone who reveals secrets, trust issues, one who publicly expresses desire that likely goes against the norms for women then. Then some based on appearance biases, extremely white or black. A bad-smelling woman, probably hygiene, near relations, obviously taboo, wives of friends, Brahmins, the king avoiding conflict, even female friends, interestingly, and ascetics, who wouldn't be interested anyway.
It's quite the list. And it's noticeable there isn't a matching list for women about men to avoid.
True, it reflects the patriarchal society.
Yeah.
But, the underlying principles avoiding untrustworthy or unhealthy people apply universally. And crucially, from today's view, we must add avoiding anyone physically abusive.
Absolutely essential point. Okay, then the text gets into something called passionate striking. It sounds alarming.
It does, but it's framed as non-malicious, something arising in the heat of passion, not actual violence.
Okay, where? How?
Shoulders, head, between the breasts, back, sides, and it even describes how back of the hand, slightly closed fingers, fist, open palm. 4 types.
And sounds, it mentions sounds associated with this.
It really goes into detail. Lists sounds like hin, thundering, cooing, weeping, even foot and fat, supposedly related to the intensity and where the strike lands, plus the partner's reaction.
Oh.
It even mentions specific scenarios like using a fist on the back when she's on his lap, or the back of the hand between the breasts during sex. It's incredibly specific.
And weren't there instruments involved sometimes?
Yes, it mentions practices in southern India using things like wedges, scissors, pinchers. But interestingly, Vatsyana himself condemns these, calls them painful and barbarous.
So even within the text, there's a critique.
Exactly. It shows a range of practices existed, not all endorsed by the author.
It sounds like things could get quite energetic. Did it acknowledge that?
Oh yes, it says passion basically takes over once things get started, and actions can be as irregular as dreams, very spontaneous.
So the advice is,
Act according to your strength and your partner's tenderness or intensity. Vary things. Be adaptable. It's about intuition and responsiveness in the moment.
okay, let's shift to something maybe a bit gentler kissing techniques. Chapter 4. Seems the Kama Sutra took kissing very seriously.
Extremely seriously. Recognizes how intimate and arousing it is. It even starts by classifying kisses by pressure, moderate, contracted, pressed, soft, before diving into specific types.
And there are loads of types, aren't there? Like the askew kiss.
Yeah, heads tilted, the bent kiss, often in missionary, the direct kiss, like sucking fruit, simple pecks or kiss pressure, the top kiss on the upper lip, the kiss clip.
What's the kiss clip?
That's using your tongue to gently touch their teeth or tongue, supposedly inviting the fight of the tongues. Then there's the throbbing kiss, lots of little kisses, the contact kiss, that moment just before lips meet, the kiss to ignite the flame at the corner of the mouth, teasing.
It just keeps going. Kisses to distract, farewell kisses, butterfly kisses.
Even a kiss with a finger or two fingers as a prelude to oral sex, a tender kiss that awakens on the forehead. Public kisses, the greatly pressed kiss on the lower lip. Reciprocal kisses, the clasping kiss.
Oh wait, the clasping kiss had a rule about mustaches.
Huh. Yes, apparently better for men without mustaches, as you take both their lips between yours.
Amazing detail.
And the fighting of the tongue itself, pressing teeth, kissing a sleeping lover, kiss that kindles love, kissing someone who's busy or upset, kiss that turns away. Demonstrative kisses in public like on a toe. It's an encyclopedia of kissing.
It really shows how much nuance they saw in it. And alongside kissing, it discusses biting and nail marks.
Yes, often linked together as signs of high passion. Nail marks or scratches were common, it says, on first visits, departures, reunions after arguments, or when someone was drunk, but always with mutual agreement because it's intense.
And different kinds of nail marks.
8 main types described, with names based on the mark left. Sounding, half moon, circle, line, tiger's nail, peacock's foot, jump of a hair, leaf of a blue lotus.
Tiger's nail. Peacock's foot, wow.
Yeah. It even classifies nails small, medium, large, and describes how to make the marks and where to put them, like a half moon on the neck or breasts.
But Vatsyana advised against marking married women visibly.
Generally, yes, except perhaps in private places as a memento. He saw variety as key in lovemaking, so skill in these techniques was valued. The text claims these marks could actually increase love and respect.
Fascinating. And biting. Similar level of detail.
Just as much. It starts by saying teeth should be white, even, sharp, then describes types of bites: hidden, swollen, the point, line of points, coral in the jewel, line of jewels, broken cloud, and the intense biting of the boar.
Coral in the jewel.
That's using lips and teeth, where the lips leave marks too. Each bite has a description and suggested locations: lower lip, cheek, throat, armpit, thighs. Often the left cheek is implied.
And it could escalate.
Yes, it describes reciprocal biting, a point, returned with a line of points. It could even lead to a love quarrel, followed by more passion. The overall message: acting according to each other's liking makes love last.
Okay, moving on to Chapter 5, Oral Sex and Foreplay. The Kama Sutra covers this too.
Definitely. Lots of ideas, many still practiced. It really stresses foreplay, acknowledging its importance, especially it implies, for female orgasm through clitoral stimulation, kissing, undressing, embracing, talking, touching, all mentioned.
And it progresses to genital stimulation.
Yes, manual and oral for both partners, with that focus on timing things for mutual climax.
How does it talk about oral sex specifically? I heard about something called aparishtaka.
That's the main term used. It's mostly discussed in the context of eunuchs performing it, eunuchs disguised as women performing it on women, specifically in the mouth, and male eunuchs on men, disguised as giving a shampoo. It lists 8 specific acts for the male eunuch, from nominal congress to swallowing up, even including dialogue where the eunuch pretends to want to stop. It also says unchaste women and female servants practiced it.
Were ancient raiders okay with this?
Mixed views. Some acharyas or teachers apparently disapprove strongly, calling it dog-like, but Vatsyayana is more lenient. He says it's okay with unmarried women, minor injuries heal easily, and basically local custom and personal preference should decide.
So it varied by region?
Seems so. It mentions different practices in various parts of India. There's even a discussion about women's cleanliness, using analogies about cows and dogs being cleaned in certain ways.
Does it mention other scenarios?
Yeah, mouth congress between male servants and masters, between citizens who knew each other well, women performing it on each other's yonis, and men on women. It suggests learning about yoni kissing from mouth kissing. There's also the Congress of a Crow position for oral sex.
But there were warnings, too.
Yes. It advises learned Brahmins, ministers, respectable men to generally avoid it unless in specific cases. Uses an analogy.
Yeah.
Just because dog meat is mentioned in medicine doesn't mean wise people should eat it.
So the takeaway is caution and context.
Exactly. Consider the place, time, local practice, and mutual agreement. It's treated as something potentially secretive and definitely down to personal choice.
Interesting historical perspective. And looking at it today, some say oral sex might be less common now, maybe due to focus on speed or unrealistic porn expectations.
That's a modern discussion, yeah.
Yeah.
But the Kama Sutra's core message, communicate, find out what your partner likes that's absolutely still relevant for making oral sex, or any sex, mutually enjoyable. Empowering women to guide both partners talking. Crucial.
Right. Now for chapter 6, the one everyone associates with the book, sex positions. Sounds like there are quite a few.
Oh, loads. Way beyond missionary and doggy style. The idea is variety enhances the experience, intimacy, pleasure. Different positions offer different things. Deeper penetration, more clit stimulation, better for certain body types.
Okay, let's hear some. Widely open, yawning,
Yeah.
and driny.
Yep. Then the clasping position, both male on top and reversed. Mirror's position, woman on top, rising position, where she arches her back.
What about the pressed position?
Known for deep penetration. Half pressed is a variation. Splitting of a bamboo. Fixing of a nail. That one involves alternating leg positions.
Crab's position sounds intriguing.
Like cowgirl, but different leg setup. Then packed position. Lotus-like position. Though it notes it might be uncomfortable if the man is large. Turning position. The helicopter. Maybe more for show. And Congress of a Cow we mentioned for oral.
Keep going. The visitor.
Standing, or woman on a table edge. The toad. Apparently very intimate despite the name. Bandolier. The slide. The rider. Reverse cowgirl, basically.
The kneel, the curled angel.
Curl angel comes from spooning. The grip is a doggy-style variation. Afternoon delight, side lying. The eagle, the sphinx, another doggy variation. The column standing. The class man lists the woman with notes on it wafting for weight.
This list is huge.
Nearly there. The
Yeah.
seated ball, the perch, using a chair. The plowman stands, woman on bed edge. The fan, doggy with arched back. The bridge looks athletic, maybe risky. And the crouching tiger, another reverse cowgirl type.
Phew. That's an incredible variety. It really drives home the point about experimentation. And I remember it mentioning anal sex briefly.
Yes, it acknowledges the possibility with many positions, but viewed through modern safety, the key takeaways are mutual agreement, absolutely essential, protection because of infection risks, and lots of lube to avoid injury.
And caution about the anatomy.
Exactly. Mentions potential G-spot stimulation via the rectum, nerve endings, but reinforces the anus as an exit, primarily. So extreme care, proper preparation, absolutely vital.
Okay, chapter 7, the final part. Charms, aphrodisiacs, and early sex toys. Ancient meets modern here.
Kind of, yeah. The Kama Sutra talks about charms or spells reflecting ancient beliefs about influencing desire. We'd be skeptical now, of course, that some might have contained actual aphrodisiac ingredients used for affection, fertility, opportunity.
And some odd recipes, like armlets instead of a penis. Lingam piercing.
Yes. Some very unique historical practices described. Armlets, piercing, enlargement techniques. It's a window into how they thought about enhancement back then.
And other spells. For feelings, appearance.
Loads of miscellaneous recipes.
Yeah.
Making someone love only you, destroying love, affecting a husband, changing vaginal tightness for different female types, hair dye, attracting with music, causing intoxication, changing looks, bringing luck. Many seem, well, pretty wild to us now, but historically significant.
Definitely shows how thinking has changed, but then it moves to aphrodisiacs, which people are still interested in today.
Right. The source lists foods with some scientific or anecdotal backing: oysters for zinc, chili peppers for circulation, chocolate for dopamine, avocados, bananas, nuts, seeds, honey, watermelon, coffee, figs, berries, even red wine. explaining why they might work.
A whole menu for romance. And finally, sex toys, the modern equivalent of those armlets, maybe. But much more variety now.
For sure. The source mentions things like cock rings, different types, how they help erections and sensation, dildos and vibrators, shapes, materials used by everyone.
Prostate plugs, butt plugs.
Yeah, prostate plugs for male anal pleasure, butt plugs for loosening up or G-spot stimulation, but again, stressing safety. Flared bases are crucial for anal toys so they don't get lost.
Safety first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it briefly mentions costumes, bondage gear, generally suggesting those are for couples with more experience.
Okay, so wrapping this up, this deep dive shows the Kama Sutra is, well, way more than just a sex manual.
Definitely. It's this huge exploration of life principles, relationship dynamics, specific techniques, historical beliefs, incredibly broad.
And even though it's ancient and some parts are very much of their time, there are still threads about love, desire, intimacy that feel timeless.
I think so. It makes you reflect on what's changed and what hasn't in how we approach these things.
Yeah. Which parts resonate? What can we maybe learn, even if it's just appreciating a different historical view?
Which leaves us with a final thought for everyone listening. How has our view of desire evolved since ancient India? Can we learn anything from the Kama Sutra's more holistic view, linking sex to overall well-being? And how do our own cultural norms shape intimacy today compared to then?
Definitely some food for thought there.